How about it? Welcome in the last day of the regular season. Michigan shorthanded on the road. Didn't matter. They went down to Columbus without Hunter Dickinson, and they come away with a 6-point win, 75-69. We're ready to talk about it here. Jim Scarcelli, I'm Dennis Fithian, and Jim, Michigan needed this one to get into the tournament. Feels like they clinched, and I don't know how many people were picking Michigan before the game, certainly picking Michigan at the half, but they, I don't know what you say, turn the tables, shock the world. A lot of different things apply here to the Wolverines as they get the victory.
Big win, beat the Buckeyes. A lot of good things to talk about, man. We had a lot of guys play really good. A couple guys didn't play good, but the other guys made up for them. We had a great game plan. Defensively, our game plan was huge. What we did against Liddell. Last time he killed us. We didn't double him very much. This time, every time he got the ball anywhere near the low block, we doubled. We doubled anybody on their low block. Great game plan defensively. A lot of good stuff to talk about, Denny.
Yeah, and even some of those guys that you'd say, you look at the score, they might not have even played well for the entire game, but they made some plays. And some of the guys that, that I think about that, Brandon Johns only had 2 points, but, he had a block late in that game and contributed. Caleb Houston had a steal late in that game. He ended up with 0 for 10, 0 points on this game here. Diabate ended up with 14 points. It was pretty good, man. He hit none bigger than he had a big block late in that game. But, man, Devontae Jones, this was the clearly the best game that he's played with the Maize and Blue. He looked like an All-American today.
Yeah, he plays good defense. He made some three-pointers. I think he had three-pointers. He finishes strong at the rim. He had a big steal at the end, that big strip at the end. The kid's solid, man. He's been a good player. He's tough. I like him. But a lot of good things, man. I tell you, the way we started the game, I liked. We didn't go to it much after, though. But we gave the ball to Diabate at the foul line near the foul shot, and we spread out 4 guys, and he went to work on Liddell. I thought that was a good scheme. I wish we would have gone to that more because he had some success with that. I like some of our sets. We were a different team in some ways without Hunter. They brought Diabate away from the rim. We didn't work as much low post offense, and some of that it kind of worked in our favor. Spreading them a little more, spreading our offense because Hunter wasn't with us. But I thought our coaches had a good game plan. And you're right, Jones was outstanding.
Yeah, a lot. Jones deserves all the credit there. You've already mentioned the defense; they were huge, and especially against Liddell, like you mentioned. But you know what? When Devontae Jones was at Coastal Carolina, he didn't have a big like Hunter Dickinson or Musa Diabate, and he drove a lot, and that was part of his game. That was a big part of his game today. I mean, he just went. They were setting screens for him. Sometimes he took the screen. Sometimes he just said, "I don't need a screen," and just went in there and made a play, knocked down shots, 9 assists, 21 points, 9 assists. Forget just playing one of the better games that he played for an individual. This is one of the better games in recent memory from Michigan. Somebody coming up, considering the circumstances, and putting a team on his back like Devontae Jones did. Can't say enough about him, man. Just keep amazing all the way around. And then from the free throw line, did Michigan miss any free throws at the end there? Because that at one point they were 11 for 11 from the free throw line. That helps out as well. But, the big thing about this, they were down 7 at the half. Nobody was thinking that Michigan was winning this game.
Yeah, they withstood that little run there. The Ohio State put a little run together. But, our guys are mentally tough, man. I'm going to talk about Musa Diabate for a second. Boy, I thought he did some real good things. Had a huge block at the end. But he was good. He was better defending Liddell. He gets the tough assignments. He gets the kid from Iowa, Murray, and then he gets Liddell this week. And he did a good job. Of course, they were doubling. They were not going to leave him alone. And he did a pretty good job of staying out of foul trouble. But he took a charge off of a rebound, keeps the ball alive. And I just was real happy. I was happy with his performance. And I'll say this about Phil Martelli. I'm a little more like Juwan Howard when it comes to some of the calls we were not getting. I thought that Liddell was just abusing Diabate to establish position and get position. They shoved Johns in the back. They shoved Liddell. I guess that's just Phil's philosophy. I'm a little more like Juwan as a coach. They're going to hear me. And I'm sure Juwan would have, you would have heard Juwan Howard with some of the calls. I think we didn't get. I was frustrated with that, but Diabate's got to get in the weight room. He's got to get stronger. He gets pushed around. And he's not getting those calls. But I like how we're taking charges. I like to see that. Williams, we got guys that'll step up and we're trying to take the charge. But Diabate was real good today defensively.
Yeah, and Terrence Williams II. I don't know how much how much more you mentioned him there defensively, but since the suspension, this is 4 games, but coming into today, he was 6 of 7 from the field, including 3 of 3 from downtown. Remember, against Michigan State, he made 3 threes in the first half, and he goes out there today, and if I'm going to mark these up right, he's 11 of 16 from the floor, and that includes 6 of 8 from downtown. I mean, this guy has just been on fire wherever you get him the ball, and they were even running some sets for him there late, but that was a huge shot in the arm. Michigan has not really had much from their bench all year long, and then they're forced to get one of the bench players because they had to get him in there and play Brandon Johns and start him. And I didn't think if it was me and right before the game they said, look, Hunter's out, what should we do? I would have said, yeah, don't start Brandon Johns. That would have been my suggestion if they were asking me. And I'm sure they're looking for him for the size and rebounding more than anything else. But after how he played the first half, I wouldn't have started him in the second half. And yet they stayed with him. But it worked. So when things work like that, I think you also have to mention that Ohio State, Hunter Dickinson was out, but Ohio State was shorthanded. Kyle Young didn't play. Zed Key, who was banged up, left in the game, only played a few minutes. And they also missed one other player, number 0, Michi Johnson, who left in the game as well, number 0. So they were down 3 players. But,
Danny, you got to have depth. You got to develop depth. And that's why I was so happy with Michigan early in the year. You're playing a lot of guys. We played 9-10 guys. And Williams was outstanding. He's getting his confidence. So much of basketball shooting is just in the brain, man, mentally getting that confidence. He's a confident kid. He's playing good. I was down on him. I love what I'm seeing. And yeah, I totally agree with you on Brendan Johns, but he was a senior. Maybe it was we're coming down, we're winding it down here. And his first shot's an air ball, but he did have the big block like you talked about. But Williams was solid. Houston was terrible on offense. He had a steal. He did some things that were decent, but I would have thought about giving Williams and Bufkin Johns and Houston minutes with Williams and Bufkin the way those guys are playing lately. I would have contemplated that a little more in the second half, but
well, clearly they like Bufkin. He was the first guy off the bench that they were going to, and he was in there, and he really didn't make much of an impact at all until late when he dropped in one of the biggest plays of the game, that 3 late. So he contributed there, and so that was pretty big time. But yeah, the story of this game is Michigan not having Hunter Dickinson, being down 7 at the half, and Devontae Jones taking this team. And we know it's not a one-man show, but it was a one-man show for Michigan. He needed help and everything else, but he just willed him to win, put him on his back. Star of the game, star of the year here for the Wolverines. When they're in a terrible situation if they lose this game. People can say whatever they want. Well, they would have just needed 1 win. I think they would have needed 2. That would have been a hell of a lot of pressure heading in Indy coming up on Thursday. Now it feels like they clinched. I mean, in the spot they needed him the most. He rose to the occasion.
Yeah, we're in a great situation. We're going to be real confident going into the tournament. I tell you another guy who gave us some good minutes, and I love him on defense, is Frankie Collins. He gets in there. He had a couple nice finishes at the rim. He's good on defense. I'm liking that he's coming back, and we got a good future with him. We've got to keep working on his shooting. But you know, the thing about Brooks, we didn't hear much from Brooks, but you got to look at what Ohio State's doing, Danny. They aren't letting him breathe. They aren't leaving him, and he's really spreading the defense. And he's steady, solid. Made his free throws at the end. Williams made his free throws at the end. That was big. That's so huge to be able to have a team that can make free throws.
Yes.
But another thing I like about Buffkin, I got him on my notes. He had the big three, but he will get in there and rebound. So I like that he's a guy that can get in there and rebound. Fald's got some minutes at the end. I was freaking out that he was going to try to take a shot down on the low block, but I tell you, it's one thing of the guy. I think he knows his limitations. He's looking to kick it out because they were actually double teaming Folds on the low block, and he made some nice passes, got it out of there, and I think he might have been the one that set up Buffkin's shot. But he did get crucial minutes, and he did a good job on defense when he was in there.
Yeah, you wonder. I do. Just like I think a lot of other people. It's like, why can't you get Jace Howard in there? But they have gone with Folds, and it worked for him here today. D's talking about Liddell getting that Jordan treatment. Thought this was amateur athletics. Yeah, in last game, Liddell was big time. He's going to be first team All Big Ten. I mean, this is a hell of a player, and it was a senior night for him, right? They were giving him the picture before the game and everything else, and the Ohio State crowd was going crazy, and Michigan did do a great job. And we've talked 95% of the time here about the offense and everything else, but the defense and the double teams that they put out there, that really was big time in this game. D saying he had played Houston less, but he was doing all right on defense. So credit his defense, and people pointing out that he needs to find a shot. Yeah, hey, if you want to say that Caleb Houston needs to score for Michigan to do anything, I would say, yeah. Like if we were sitting here and you told me that Caleb Houston came up with a goose egg, I'd say, and they didn't have Hunter Dickinson, I'd say Michigan wasn't winning this game. But that just shows you how much the other guys stepped up.
Hey, I totally agree with D's nuts. I was furious at the calls that Liddell was getting. It was terrible. He's totally right. He was just pushing guys around. Every little nickel dime touch he was getting and getting the call. We weren't getting those same calls. I'll tell you something that was huge. Our coaches did a great job, but Michigan is a pretty damn good press breaking team. We don't really talk about that much, and I think a lot of it has to do with we do some of the presses we see. We are a full court team, full court press team occasionally, half court occasionally. But when you do those against your own team, it helps you be good at breaking them. And I thought we did a great job with Brooks taking it out and then getting the ball to Jones. But our press break is solid. We got guys that can handle it. We've made pretty damn good decisions all year breaking the press, and we did a great job today breaking their press.
Yeah, some things you wonder when you win a game like this, and you talked about at the outset, it's a different looking team when Hunter Dickinson is on the bench. You have the whole lane. Of course, he's Michigan's best player, but if you are Juwan Howard and staff heading into now the second season, the postseason, starting with the Big Ten tournament on Thursday, do you think about not the idea of maybe getting Hunter Dickinson if he's ready to go? I would imagine that he would start, but you bring Moussa Diabate off the bench where you don't have two guys and you have more space there, or do you just have the designs where you have both of those guys vacating the paint so you have some openings? There are certainly some things that they can think about and look at. Well, because of just how effective Devontae Jones was being able to operate with all that room in the paint.
Danny, that would be something to think about, but you've got to have Terrence Williams then in the game. You got to have another shooter if that's the way you want to go and take Diabate out to really stretch the floor. And then, you've got Brooks, you've got Houston, you've got Jones, and now a guy like Williams, the way he's been shooting it, that is something that they could possibly consider, because now you have 4 guys that can stretch the floor, and maybe we don't have to go with the 2 big man lineup. But that, it's a good point. But I think our coaches are in a good situation now. There's more guys that are getting playing time, developing confidence. Williams has got to be a kid now. Hopefully, maybe we could ride a guy like Williams. He's going to be a confident kid. Jones is confident. Houston has got to get his head right. He's got to wipe this game out and come in Thursday ready to go. He's got to be mentally tough, and that's this. That's the thing about basketball. You got to be able to forget the 0-10 night, and it's tough to do. But he's got to shake that off and get back to being a confident kid. Because Indiana ain't going to be. I imagine we're going to get Indiana. Denny, what are you thinking? What's your bracket breakdown now? What are you thinking?
Well, I was just looking to see if that was locked in at the 8-9. I thought it was. Let's see what we have here. I'll see if I can find it. I think that Michigan and Indiana are locked in at the 8-9. We do have a couple other games today. I think people would want to know if Wisconsin is going to be sitting there as well. If Michigan wins one game, which I think it is, we'll see if we can get that.
My buddy told me Wisconsin was losing. Now Michigan State's got to win. If Michigan State and if Michigan State wins, will they be ahead of us?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I was looking, and I was going to wait till just the dust settled here and see what happened with Michigan, and I think they're locked into 8-9. But you're right. I don't know what's going on with Michigan State. Maybe they could.
Yeah, I'll tell you another thing, Danny, that we didn't talk about much is Ohio State turned the ball over quite a bit today, but a lot of that was created by Michigan. A lot of those turnovers, we ripped them out of there, stripped them out of there. We did a darn good job getting in some of those passing lanes and created turnovers, which was huge in this game. And one of the things I questioned at the end, because I think Brooks is our best free throw shooter. I don't know why you would have him take the ball out when they're going to foul right at the end. But they did that, and Terrence Williams ended up making the shots. I would have liked to try to get the ball to Brooks or to Jones, but they obviously have faith in Williams.
Yeah, well, it's understandable. You're coming from there. If you're out there and you wanted to get a thought in on this game, and would you say at what point did you think like okay, you really think that Michigan should win this game? Was there a point that you said that you thought that they were going to win this game, Scar?
It was. The crowd was a little bit of a factor, but we held them off when they made that 7-point run, and we got back. Brooks made a big 3, got us back. We tied the thing up, and they just weren't. Our offense just was functioning better than the last time we played them. I don't know if Hunter not being in the game, but they defended us so well last time. If you listen to our prior podcast, I thought Ohio State would have been one of the last teams I wanted to play because I thought they defended us so well. But this time, we were spread out a little more. We did some things on offense, and we defended them a lot better. They weren't making all the shots. But to answer your question, I just felt once we tied the thing back up, I was like, God, we're playing good basketball. So,
well, let's count it out here. So do we have Michigan State playing, right?
Yeah, they're playing Maryland today.
Yeah, well, that could be different with Michigan being 11-9. I mean, the two teams split. I don't know what the tiebreaker would be for you'd go to head, and then after that to see if Michigan would get that 7 and move off of Indiana. I'll have to wait and see on that. Of course, if one thing that we could say for sure is where do we have Michigan State at? Are they done? You don't know. Okay.
No, I don't know. But, Denny, I tell you, I'm
not playing today, so go ahead.
Yeah, Indiana is not that'll be a tough game. They gave Purdue everything they could have wanted last night. And we shot the ball really good against them at their place, and there's no guarantee we're going to do that again. They have good players, so that'll be a that'll be a tough contest, man. And I actually like that. I like that being on that side of the bracket, playing the early game. And then if we win that game, we get Wisconsin. I like our matchup against Wisconsin. We had them at third place. We couldn't make a shot that day. We're not going to shoot that bad again. We'll have a game in on that court. I like that deal right there, playing Indiana, beating Indiana, and then playing Wisconsin after we've already played a game on that court, and they haven't. So I hope we're 8-9. That's what I hope going in.
Well, Maryland is visiting Michigan State coming up at 4:30. They're not ranked. That's why it was throwing me off. I'm looking at the games today, and I'm like, I thought they were playing, and I'm looking at it. Of course, I was looking at the top 25. So Michigan State. Michigan and Michigan State will be tied in the Big Ten. If they go to head-to-head, Michigan State's got a better overall record. I would imagine that would be just working off of what I think would be the tiebreakers, which would give Michigan State that 7 seed. So unless Maryland beats Michigan State, I think Michigan would then move up to would move up a spot into that 7 seed. If not, if Michigan State wins, I think they would have the tiebreaker, and then we'll see Michigan and Indiana coming up on Thursday. Of course, so they played one time this year. Michigan went to Bloomington and took out the Hoosiers on the road. So you feel like Michigan's got a nice chance against the Hoosiers coming up in Indy.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, they're a good team. They got one of the best players in the league. I'm just looking at my notes again, Danny, and you hit it. You were absolutely right when you started off. You said, you know what? Some guys were below average in their game today, but every one of them had one or two huge plays to win this game. It wasn't one man, but the big block by Johns, the big 3 by Buffkin, and the big couple, the steal by Houston, even though he didn't do some other things that were great, but a lot of guys stepped up. What do we got here? It's funny to see a 7-football man in the basket and not know what the hell to do with it, or play like guard with no big man. Is he referring to Falls? You know who he's referring to there?
I don't.
And not know what the hell to do with it, or play like a guard with no big man. I don't know if maybe he is talking about Folds. I don't know. Yeah, I was concerned when we got the ball down to him, but they defended him and he kicked it out. They double teamed him. He kicked it out. And
I'm sorry. I'm going to go back. Antoine did talk. I picked it up in the middle of what he was saying right there. And I think he's just, he might have been talking about Dickinson.
I got you. There's very few, he talks about the NBA. Yeah. It's like, they don't want those guys. They don't really care about, 2 points in the low block ever since Shaq left the league. But, Hunter's doing things I think that is going to really, make him more marketable. I mean, if Luka Graza can play in the NBA, I think Hunter Dickinson can too.
Yeah, well, both of them, like the issue was going to be foot speed with Garza, and that has been the issue and continues to be the issue. But I think Dickinson and Garza can really shoot. So that's the one thing they talk about with his foot speed at the next level. But I'm wondering here, when you have a stomach bug and stomach flu like that, just how quickly you can come back. My wife was leaving, and when I told her, she said, well, he'll be out for the Big Ten tournament if he missed today's game. And I was like, wow, that's he's got a few days here. But she's just going on what she knows about stomach bugs. But I don't know, like that. And I think the other thing you have to worry about, if he did have a stomach bug, maybe somebody else that could run through the locker room. But we'll see on that. They want to have Hunter Dickinson back, that's for sure, and have him in there if available on Thursday. But huge surprise today, really a shock. It was midway through the first half, where, Michigan was down 7 and then they're sitting there up a dozen. And I said, this is shocking to me. It was shocking that now that they're sitting there, they went to a break. It was 10:04. And I say, I think Michigan, they not only, they should win this game now. If you're up 10 with 10 to go, the way they've been playing the first 10 minutes, you always think about things that are said at the half, or, different things that they tried. I mean, that would be my first question to Phil Martelli after the game. Like, what did you guys talk about doing in the second half offensively, it was Devontae Jones just really taking over. And, this guy's making play after play, and the Jones offense, and it worked on defense for him too. And even when you have Michael Jordan having his game, you pick and say, oh yeah, this guy made a play, that guy made a play. But I think a shocking result here to see Michigan win this game without Hunter Dickinson in the manner that they did it. Really amazing.
Yeah, Danny, it's Big Ten basketball, man. You make your shots. Everybody's got good players. A lot of guys on scholarship. Anybody can win anywhere. And normally home team holds court. Yeah, it's a great win, and a lot of good things, a lot of confidence as we move forward.
All right, let's read some of the chat here. If you're out there, get your comments in. We'll read these. Antoine, sorry I didn't go all the way up and start from your very top point, but if you make some points now, we'll get to them. We can tell you that before we leave here. Antoine saying his original comment was about Houston and making the NBA playing one-dimensional. They only want guys to be specialists and forget that mid-range game, shooting threes all game long. Well, the number one thing that the NBA is looking for are guys that can shoot. And that's space to floor, 3-and-D, whatever you want to say right now. And the thing about Houston is you can look at him and say, I wouldn't draft him in the first round here, but there are some teams that might think about it late, and it only takes one. But if he could string together a couple good games, but just look at him. He played decently for 3 games before the game against Iowa. He was coming in and, had 3 games where he was averaging over 19 points and he was shooting well from downtown, but then he didn't do all that well against Iowa, and today he was a no-show. So I don't know, up and down, he's taking him. The one thing that the NBA likes about him is that, he's 6'9", and he's got a 7-foot reach. So he's got that shot. But the one thing he doesn't have, he doesn't really, when he's out of that 3-point line, it's not like he's got any side-to-side moves or step backs, and he can really take guys off the dribble. So, I don't think that he'll get picked. If he goes, I would be surprised if he ends up being a first-round pick. When
I'll tell you, Danny, commenting about Antoine's post here, being a post-up player, I'll tell you a guy I like to watch is Jay Wright over at Villanova. He's a great coach. Every single player on his team will have a low post offensive game because that's part of his strategy as a coach. If we switch or we get certain players isolated, and because he used to do it with this point guard, Brunston. I forget the kid's name. Yeah, Brunson. But he does it with every single player on his team. I don't know that it's obvious that that's not the philosophy of Juwan Harwich. That's his prerogative. But to Antoine's point, I understand the merits of having everybody on your team having some type of a low post offensive game, because you never know how you're going to get switched up offensively. With who you might get a mismatch with Houston on a small guy under the basket, and we really don't take advantage of that.
I would like to see. Go ahead, Scar. What else are you going to say there?
No, just your boy D's nuts. Hopefully, it's something he ate. Yeah, to be over and done with, man. The average guy, it's a stomach ache. So Dickinson will be back in no time, man, because it's just a little stomach ache.
Maybe. I would like to see Houston be stronger around the basket. He tries a lot of finesse stuff. I would emphasize that to him. You don't mind him shooting down there, but, some of these ones that he's just flipping up. I like Euro steps and all that. That's not necessarily finesse. You can still be strong there, but sometimes even on the Euro step, he's just, kind of flipping it up there. He did it today, kind of a, semi-half hook. But look, he gets a pass. Michigan wins. And so, he can come up and do well. Like now, everything, once you punch your ticket, which it seems like Michigan – I mean, if you're joining in, like it seems like Michigan punched their ticket to the NCAA tournament, which is huge for this team. A month ago, I predicted that this team would not be in the NCAA tournament. So punching their ticket, doing it without Hunter Dickinson, yeah, and now you have a chance. All of this stuff, Caleb Houston with a goose egg today. He goes out and strings together 3 games in the Big Ten tournament. 3 games in the NCAA tournament, hey, you know what? Maybe teams will look at him in the pros. Maybe, you go from having a disappointing regular season. I think we can all say that. If Caleb Houston was sitting in here, I'd say, you know what, Caleb, you had a disappointing regular season, but you know what? This is where you make a name for yourself now. So we'll see if he is able to do that. K2 Polo saying, if you would have told me we would have had a 12-point second half lead in this game without Dickinson and with Houston going over his life, I would have laughed in your face.
Denny, though, the thing that people got to understand is, so much of our offense, and it's what, Juwan Howard wants, and I'm good with it. They want to start offensively by getting the ball into Hunter Dickinson. Okay, so that's the way we want to go. But when so that limits shots, that limits opportunities for everybody else, which is fine. It's the way we want to go. But Hunter Dickinson wasn't there today. And there's other guys that, they had a chance to get more shots, get more opportunities, and they stepped up. So to comment that, if Dickinson and Houston played so bad that we'd have a chance to win, yeah, but guess what? Jones had stepped up. The floor was spread out more. Williams had one of his best games.
His best game.
And Diabate was solid. Brooks was solid. Jones and Houston were not very good at all, but other guys stepped up, man. So it's a team game, man, where it's never one guy. And that's one thing, I'm gonna quote the old Schembechler, man. No man is more important than the team. No coach is more important than the team. No player is more important than the team. We got a lot of guys that can play, man.
Yeah, the Devontae Jones game, that's the way it'll go down to me, having said all that about the team and everything else. And it was Devontae Jones who serves all 3 stars. That's great. They need everybody out there, and that's good. You got a final thought here?
No, it's a great win. We're confident. We got a lot of energy going into the tournament. We got guys that are feeling good about themselves, and we're going to be in great shape. I hope it's Indiana and we get the early game, and then I hope it's we're looking at Wisconsin, because we'll have a game in on that court. I think that's an advantage. Some of those B-line teams used to make good runs where we had them crummy seeds early, and we got to play a game on that court. And I think that can be an advantage, especially if we play as many guys as we play. So our legs will be fresh. We're young. I hope we get that 8-9, and then we get the Badgers next round 2.
Well, if you look over the years, and I haven't broken it down here right up to the minute, but there usually is a team that makes a little bit of a push, whether it's a Wednesday or Thursday team that gets, if it's not just Sunday, certainly gets to the weekend. And why not Michigan? It certainly could be. Getting Hunter back, and that would be nice. If you could tell me, nobody wanted to play the game of, hey, would you rather go to the championship game in the NIT or get bounced in the first round of the NCAA tournament? You always take the NCAA tournament no matter what. But now that they are in the NCAA tournament, if you wanted to tell me, would you take Michigan, winning the Big Ten tournament over just winning a game in the inside, I would take it. I would take it. So,
oh yeah, the Big Ten tournament, anybody can win, man. I mean, we know we can play with anybody. So let's just play. Danny, couple quick thoughts. A lot of Wolverines represented well at the combine. I was watching all of them. A lot of them tested well. I don't know if you watched any of that. They ran real good. So I was happy to see some of our guys physically do real good at the NFL combine in Indianapolis.
Yeah, it's always good to see those 40 times. It's a lot of fun, and shuttles and cones and bench press and all that. Aiden Hutchinson was impressive. I did like that. All right, we'll talk about that this week. We'll talk a lot of hoops as well. The Devontae Jones game. Thanks for everybody for commenting in. Michigan down 7 at the half. They win it by 6, 75-69, and we think they've punched their ticket to the NCAA tournament. For Jim Scarcelli, I'm Dennis Fithian. Thanks for joining us here, and I'll talk to you tomorrow at 1 all week long. Yeah, at 1 o'clock.